So, yeah, the topic now, we've been just speaking about internal business partnering. I'm going to talk about external collaboration. And external collaborations, everybody knows how to do that. It's very easy. Just what you do is you go and talk to people, essentially. We all know how to build external relations. Very easy, talk to them. And then build trust, sign contracts, and everything's fine. The big issue that you find in this approach is that everybody avoids two things: risks and attribution. These are two elements that no one wants to really discuss about. You want to collaborate with me, and then as I am the buyer, I'm giving you all the risk. And then I take all the benefits. It just doesn't work. It can't work, because if you want to collaborate with someone, especially when you want to get innovation and say, hey, suppliers, come with your innovation. We are going to do business together, and I'm going to get all the profits, and you are going to keep all the risks. It just doesn't work. It's the same also internally. It's the same with you as an employee. If you are just being given all the risk of, hey, be innovative, take risks, but if it fails, poof, I get you out of the organization because you failed. It will not work. And that's a key element in literature, and I'm talking about research here, but also talking about experience in business. So many times you are faced into this triangle of impossibility. So you end up taking either personal risks, which means you may be asked to go and provide your services to your current competitors, or you just become a star because you took a risk and it worked. And the same issue goes internally when you say, hey, we as procurement have this super project, we want to be digital. We want to be doing this or that, and then who is funding? And no one wants to fund because it's risky. However, everybody will want to accept rewards for that. And if I take an example, a few years ago I was in the automotive industry, and we were developing a new braking system. It was a super challenge for the organization because it was our first business with the company that at this time was #1 in the world as car manufacturer. So super visible, super important. We had taken the business on a challenge that we were able to develop something very, with a very high level of performance that would be also, we had to make it cheaper than we had the habit of doing. And so it somehow came down to engineering and procurement. At this time, what I offered was to say, okay, we are going to really integrate suppliers in the development of new products. So we thought at what we could do, and we said there are two things we can do. One, redesign, which we can do. We have some technical option. And the second one is we are going to remove some metal parts and put some plastic parts. Reaction, the first guy to kill us was a sales manager. I'm not going to see the customer with a plastic component in a braking system. Never ever been done. The only one that tried failed. So we ended up talking to the engineering guy, and he said, you know, what I want to deliver is a product that works. So there is no way I'm going to take any risk in developing something that might not work. So with the engineering manager of the project, we said, okay, we are going to make it do. We are going to, within the same budget, so we're taking the risk, develop something in metal and something in plastic. Which put me into an interesting situation, because I had to talk to suppliers saying, guys, I would like you to develop something with us. I have zero money. So the first answer was like, yeah, as usual. But what do we do when it succeeds? I'm like, yeah, if it succeeds, you will just have the business, and it's a 1.5 million cars platform every year for the next 5 years, sure, probably next 10 years. And so one company said, yes, one. Okay, and so we developed, we worked. Everything went hectically, as in any development. And at the end, we got the product. It was 20% lighter, 25% cheaper. And then the sales guy and the engineering director came back to me and said, can you just get rid of the supplier who did the development, because I'm sure you can find cheaper. I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. However, I don't take the risk of giving a new component to a new supplier 2 months before start of production. No way. So you just are going to take the results as they are today. And interestingly, they were not willing to take the risk either. So the big discussion we had after was, who gets the reward of the work? Could we just say the engineering team did a good work and procurement did a good work? That was another big discussion. Because yes, we could show savings, wahoo, nice. On the other hand, we had an impact on the manufacturing line because you can't assemble components the same way when they're in plastic or when they're in metal. So it came to a lot of discussions internally. And the resolution was, we are going to say that was a combined effort led by engineering. Okay, why not? For me, what was most important is we had demonstrated internally that collaboration with suppliers was possible. And we had also demonstrated to the suppliers that if you develop things with us, you get some business. You know, and we closed this triangle of accepting risk and attribution of benefits. Interestingly, this was the end of external collaboration in this company. Because on the side, another team of engineers was developing a different product, and they were just like, we are going to just show we can do it. But so, that was the dark side of the story, because every story has a dark side. But I think it was very, very interesting reflex from a group of people to say, we don't want to be outsourced, essentially. When the thing was, we were not outsourcing development, we were insourcing resources, which is a job of procurement. Procurement is all about getting resources from outside, bringing them in, because these are competencies and what I call resources in general that we don't have. And if we can do it somehow for free, with a good outcome, there is no reason not to do that. But so coming back on collaboration, so this you have to close this triangle, and that's very, very important because when you want to jump into collaborative relationship management, that's where you have to link what the book says, and that's usually a big hurdle. You know, general terms and conditions, contracts, rules, regulation, supplier code of conduct, SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley does the same thing, and all of that. How do you make sure that having to follow all these rules, and I don't even talk about objectives, you know, how much do you deliver? Because at the end of the day, yes, we want to partner with business, yes, yes, yes. You always have someone saying, how much do you deliver? How do we work to be on the right-hand side of the smiley face saying, yes, we've been doing a new way and different way of managing and collaborating. I hate the word supplier relationship management, even though it's on my thesis profile so far. I'm working very, very hard to get rid of it because I want to just go to, it's really collaborative relationship management. It's really the most important thing there. And to do that, you have to approach two aspects, which are very important. First, understand the qualitative assessment. How do you qualitatively assess relationships? And this is a very hard part because you don't measure it. By definition, it's qualitative. So a lot of people shy away from it. Still, you have to really look into it. And qualitative assessment of relations is really about the adoption of practices. You can always say, yeah, I can measure how many people talk to the suppliers and so many times internally. Yeah, but really think about it. It's a change of behaviors. This is a qualitative aspect of collaboration management. What are the new behaviors that people have adopted? And then you have the somehow easy to measure quantitative aspect, which is about incentive, which is about attribution, which is about how many times we've signed contracts, how many times we've respected the contract. How many times did we share information? Because this is also a key thing. If you want to collaborate with suppliers, or even internally, you have to share information. How do you want a supplier to come to you with an innovative idea when he doesn't know what you may be interested in? If you don't go out, and on another project a few years ago, I was on the supply market, which I didn't know. It was for me a completely different world in the pharma industry. I was like, that's my strategy, that's what I want to do. Who wants to play with me? Interestingly, everybody wanted to play with me. On the one hand, I had some interesting business. On the other hand, they knew what we wanted to do. They knew where we were going, and they knew that if they were playing along, there would be business. So share information. That's really critical to make sure that people want to collaborate with you. The other aspect is when you design your relationships, be very careful. A lot of programs about relationship management, about collaboration, are extremely structured, which means you are putting constraints. If you introduce rigidity, first of all, you kill innovation. Innovation comes from things being done differently, from interaction, from change. So if you want to innovate in a tunnel, if you have a round tunnel, you are going to come back with something that's round. If you have a square tunnel, it will be square. So be very careful. When you manage relationships, do not over-engineer, do not over-design your approach to the market and to the collaboration. Similarly, don't under-engineer it. Because if it's too loose, if it's too free-falling, then you lose a lot of opportunities and you introduce a lot of risks. And risks, you have to manage them, you have to take control of them. You have to know the ones you accept, you have to know the ones you don't accept. So in this aspect, when I hear about digitization, automation, yes, it will work for a number of things. However, I'm convinced that, as we've been discussing, and I was very interested all day long, because everyone, we come back to, it's a human-to-human interaction. Mm-hmm. You want to create a cushion around it. You want to create boundaries. You want to create security and safety for everyone, but you are a human-to-human interaction. As Gilles presented, people have hearts, people have guts. Yeah, people have hands, they can do things. They also have brains. Tell them what they can do. Tell them what you expect from them. Tell them what you can't accept from them. And they will just play along. It's very difficult, however. Very, very difficult to be clear and concise and to clearly express what you expect and what you want. Especially when the world is ever changing. Especially when you don't exactly know what your boss wants, because he's not super clear about it. Because a lot of companies think and behave saying, if you don't know everything, I have power over you, because I control information. And this is a very, very tricky part. So in collaborative relationship management, be careful, take time, speak to people. The more you talk in a meaningful way, okay, but the more you talk, the more you exchange information, the more you take time to bring ideas together, the more opportunities and the more success you will have in following the book, somehow making sure the risks that your organization doesn't accept are not materialized, and making your stakeholders happy, internally and externally.